Sam Altman just said he wants to make intelligence too cheap to meter. That was last week at a BlackRock Investor Summit. The CEO of OpenAI, standing in front of a room full of the biggest money managers on the planet, said AI has crossed into what he called major economic utility. And his goal? Flood the world with it. If you sell your expertise for a living, consulting, coaching, financial advice, that sentence should concern you because a $60 a month tool just launched that proves he's not exaggerating. On February 10th, a company called Altruist launched an AI platform called Hazel. It reads your client's tax returns, pay stubs, account statements, meeting notes, even emails, and it builds personalized tax strategies in minutes. Not hours, minutes. Work that used to take a paraplanner 4 to 6 hours. The price? $60 a month. The day it was announced, Schwab, Raymond James, LPL, and Stifel all dropped 7 to 9% in a single session. Wall Street didn't wait to see what would happen. They priced in the damage immediately. But here's the thing, the stock drop isn't the real story. The real story is what happens when your clients discover this tool exists, because they will. And when they do, there's exactly one thing that determines whether you survive it or get replaced by it. I'm going to show you what that one thing is and why most consultants and advisors don't have it yet. Now, here's the part most people aren't connecting. This isn't about one tool. Altruist built Hazel for financial advisors, but ChatGPT Plus costs $20 a month and handles business strategy, marketing plans, coaching frameworks, and competitive analysis. Gartner just published new data in March 2026 showing that 67% of B2B buyers now prefer a completely rep-free buying experience. 45% used AI during their most recent purchase. Your prospects aren't waiting for you to call them back. They're getting answers from a subscription that costs less than their Netflix. Here's why this matters to you specifically. Whether you're a consultant, a coach, a financial advisor, or a speaker, your clients are about to discover that the analytical work you do, the strategy you build, the frameworks you walk them through, a tool can now approximate that for the cost of a gym membership. One advisory firm in Tennessee announced this year that they completely phased out their paraplanners and replaced them with AI. What used to take 4 hours now takes minutes. That's not a prediction, that's already happened. If you're in a regulated field, financial advisory, for example, the pressure is even more immediate because your clients are sophisticated. They read, they test things. They will find these tools. I want to tell you about someone who's living this right now, a fee-only advisor I'll call Casey, who runs a small RIA in the Southeast, 11 years of experience, solid client retention, and about 18 months ago, his close rate on discovery calls started slipping and he couldn't figure out why. His work was just as good. His clients were happy. Something had just shifted underneath him. Keep that in mind. So I want to share a framework with you that I think clarifies what's actually happening here. I call it the 2 layers of expertise. Every independent professional, every consultant, every advisor, every coach operates on 2 layers. The first layer is what I call the processing layer. That's the analytical work, building the financial plan, running the tax scenario, creating the strategy document, drafting that proposal. This is the work you do with information. And this is the layer that AI now does for $60 a month. The second layer is the authority layer. That's not what you do, it's what you are in the market. It's whether a prospect already knows your name before they start searching. It's whether you're the one they call first, not one of 3 that they're comparing. Casey's entire practice was built on layer 1. Excellent work, thorough analysis, great recommendations, 100% processing layer. And here's what the data tells us about where buyers are right now. According to research from 6 Sense, in 81% of cases, the buyer has already chosen their preferred vendor before they ever talk to a seller. 81%. That means by the time someone sits down across from you, in most cases, they've already decided. The question every advisor and consultant needs to answer, and most aren't ready for, is what exactly makes them choose you before that conversation even starts? If I could boil all of this down to one sentence, it's this. A computer can now do the homework part of your job for $60 a month. So the only thing left to sell is the part where someone picks up the phone and says, I trust you. That changes everything about how you should be building your practice right now. So what happened to Casey? About 6 months ago, a longtime client came into a meeting, pulled out his phone, and showed Casey a tax strategy. The client had run his own numbers through an AI tool. This took me about 20 minutes, the guy said, and it gave me basically the same thing you did last quarter. Casey told me later that was the moment everything clicked. He realized his value wasn't in the analysis. It never had been. His value was supposed to be in being the trusted name, the person this client wouldn't dream of making a major financial decision without. But he had no book, no named methodology, no visible presence beyond his referral network. He was the best kept secret in his market. And best kept secrets don't survive when the alternative costs $60. So Casey did something different. He built what I call a layer 2 asset, something that works for him before the meeting starts. He documented his proprietary process. He gave it a name and published it. Within 90 days, his close rate went back up. Not because his advice got better. His advice was always good. It's because prospects started showing up already believing he was the authority. Same work, same clients, very different evidence. So what actually works right now? Here's what I've seen over and over with the consultants and advisors who are thriving in this environment. They all have one thing in common. They've built something tangible that does the selling for them before the conversation starts. Not more content, not a better website, not a stronger LinkedIn presence, although those help. Something that makes a prospect say, "This is my person," before they ever get on a call. Think about it this way. Schwab just shut down their hybrid robo-advisor, Intelligent Portfolios Premium, in the first quarter of this year. Josh Brown, one of the most respected voices in the RIA space, said it plainly. The war is over. Human advisors won. But what won wasn't advice. Morningstar has been tracking this for years. Robo-advisors only captured 2 to 4% of the market after a full decade. What won was the relationship, the trust, the authority that a human being builds when they become the known expert before the client starts shopping. The advisors and consultants who are raising their fees right now aren't the ones with better analysis. They're the ones who've built something that makes them the obvious choice before the prospect opens a browser. The question most people have at this point is, okay, I get it, but how do I actually build that? How do I take a decade of experience and turn it into something a client can find, read, and say, "This is my person," before we ever get on a call? Because here's what I've learned. The ones who win aren't necessarily better at what they do. They just have an asset that does the positioning for them before the conversation starts. That's exactly what I walk through in the next video. It covers the extraction process we use to take what you already know and build it into a book around your proprietary methodology in 90 days, without you staring at a blank page. It also explains why we back the whole thing with an ROI guarantee, because what this has to do for your practice is real. If your entire business right now is built on layer one work, the processing, the analysis, the deliverables, that next video is the one you need. Watch it next.